All right. First, hey, congrats to Wake and Coach Clausen. That's a really good football team, really well coached. We have really good players. I think it's might be the best overall team we've played all year. So congrats to them. I thought they had a great plan. I thought they executed at a high level. Um, and I'll be happy to take your questions.
All right, we'll start with the top from Andy.
Hey, Jeff. I wanted to ask about that fourth down, 4th and 6, I think it was, after the Cole Batson interception. I didn't go for it there, but I noticed you guys went for it on 4th and 11 from the Wake 37 in the first half. So what went through your mind for that decision there?
I went for it on our 36 going in on the 4th and 11 field position, 36-yard line. If you pooch it and you hit it and it's a touchback, we're not going to kick a field goal from the 36. It's too far. So when the ball's on the 36-yard line, I came into this game being aggressive. I think that's the same series that I called the fake punt, right? So my mindset, totally different field position, Andy. Plus 36, be aggressive. Worst case scenario, make them drive 60-plus yards to score a touchdown.
All right, we'll go to Rich.
Coach, on the second possession, you had to settle for 3 points with the first and goal from the 5. Did that take a little wind out of your sails early in the game?
Rich, I caught some of that. You asked if it was when we got the ball down on the 5-yard line.
You had to settle for 20. Did that take a little wind out of your sails early?
Yeah, well, I'm not exactly sure of what you're saying, and I apologize for that, Rich, but we got the ball down to the 5-yard line. It was first and goal from the 5-yard line. You have to score a touchdown there. Against a team who's averaging over 41 points a game, you can't get a field goal. And what happened was we went backwards, and we put ourselves in a position where I couldn't go for it. I think we had the false start, and then we had some miscommunication. Had to call timeouts there, which I wasn't very happy with. And at that point we settled for the field goal. Happy that Connor made it, but yeah, Rich, we got to score a touchdown there. You're playing the number 13 team in the country who scores 41 points a game. You get down to the 5 and you have to score touchdowns to win the game. So sorry, Rich, if I didn't answer your question. It kind of jumbled.
Oh, that's right. That was fine.
We'll go next to Jack.
Hey, Coach. Phil ran the ball a lot more today, I think 9 times. Was it a part of your game plan heading into this week to get a more designed runs?
Yeah, that's something we looked at and we need to have more success with. I think we did. Some of them were scrambles, but there were a handful of design runs. So yeah, that's a good question. And it's something I think we need to continue to build off of because we had success doing it.
Dan Rubin.
Coach, early on there were a few drives where you guys were able to flip the field or at least sustain time of possession, and then after that things kind of fell a little bit out of sync on you. Just kind of what changed from the early part of the first quarter through kind of later on? Was there something that Wake did that kind of knocked that out? And 2 is just as you're kind of assessing that, what do you do to try to get it back into sync?
I think I gotta go look at the tape and why did we execute early and why didn't we? Was it execution? Was it play calling? I think it's probably a combination of, everything. So you got to look at it. What were they doing different? And really look at it hard tomorrow when we turn on the tape.
Trevor?
With 2 full weeks to prepare, I'd imagine you were pretty comfortable going into defending their offense. Just what makes it so tough to stop when you actually go up against Hartman and everyone?
They're players. The offensive line is, like I said, it's a bunch of guys who've been here for 5 or 6 years, and they're really good and they're strong up front and they really hold the pocket. And the quarterback is throwing some balls lined up 1 yard away from them, and those wide receivers are giants and they're really good players. I mean, even on the first couple of series, we're all over them and they're making back shoulder catches. They're going up and catching the ball. Not taking anything away from their plan. They're coached really well, and that system is. But ultimately in football, the players make the system go, and that's an impressive group, Trevor. Wideouts, quarterback. I mean, they really didn't have much run game against us until the last big run of the game. But quarterback, O-line, wideouts. Again, back to the O-line. That's an impressive group, but the players make it go.
We'll go back to Andy.
Chad, that sequence that led to the 61-yard Zay touchdown, the fake punt, and then the double fumble situation. Have you ever seen something like that? And what was kind of the decision-making process after getting through all that and getting the ball back?
What was the decision process on which part, Andy? My decision to fake the punt or?
No, not your decision, but more of just how do you stay composed after that kind of situation? Have you seen something like that before, the whirlwind of the?
I've seen fumbles that are picked up and then taken away, and obviously the possession changes, so you get the ball back. Yeah, I've seen that a few times. I thought that gave us momentum at the time. Even going into the third quarter, it was a 2-possession game, and we had them 3rd and 25 because we stopped them coming out at half. We were in the game in the third quarter. It's a 2-possession game. We score. We get them a 3rd and 25, and they hit a big one on us, which is very unlike us. In the last 30 third downs against us, teams were 8 of 30. And I felt really good on third down. That's probably as good as there's been in the country. But to knock it off the field on 3rd and 25, it's disappointing because all of a sudden you get the ball back, you stop them 2 or 3 times in a row. And now we're 1 drive away from having it be a 1-possession game. But instead, they went down and scored. We had the penalty when they called us for the roughing the running back. That gave them 15 yards. They scored on that drive. It went 3 possessions. And then, again, our margin for error is so small right now where that was kind of it.
All right, we'll go with our final 3 here. We'll go to Jack, then Dan, then to Trevor.
So Jackson Ness, he's had to step in at center today. How would you say he played considering, the tough circumstances?
I'll look at the tape, but it looked like he battled. And there was, what you saw in some of those false starts and some of the late snaps and some of those penalties. It's a new center quarterback combination, which they haven't had a lot of work together. So a lot of those false starts are, you saw the ball snap too early or the ball snap late, and it just takes time when you lose your starting center. But that guy, you want to talk about a guy who's given his all. Year ago, he's playing defensive line, then he's our starting guard, and now he's our starting center. I'm not sure anybody realizes how hard that is. The kid's never really played center. I don't know if he's played center in a football game his whole life, certainly not in his college career. So for him to go out and do that, regardless of the penalties, I got a ton of respect for him. I love that guy.
Dan, go ahead.
Coach, I just wanted to cycle back to the Zay catch, the 61-yarder. When you're deciding to go deep, is that something that's presented to you from a defense, or is that a design where you go in and you say, okay, we have this and we can use it, versus looking at a defense and saying they're offering us the opportunity to go deep if they give us a certain look?
No, it's plays. It's designed set up against what they're doing on defense, and then you put guys in certain positions and you try to get them the ball. They play with very aggressive safeties, and you got to take some shots to try to have them deepen up. And we were able to do it on that play, which was a really good throw and a really good catch, and it gave us momentum and it kind of put us back in the game, And like I said, it's just, we couldn't get it to that 1 possession. It stayed at that 2 possessions for a while, and then it got away from us.
All right, final one from Trevor.
So against Virginia Tech and Florida State, you guys got off to slow starts and then, recovered a little bit as the game progressed. The past couple games against Clemson, and now this one, decent starts and slow second halves. What do you attribute that to, if anything?
I don't know if we started this. One, I attribute to we're getting better, starting faster, executing at a higher level early. Guys are settling in. I don't think we started the second half slow because we went back and forth for a while. I feel like we're wearing down as the game gets on. And I think, there's a lack of depth right now, and there's some inexperienced players playing out of position. And then there's some young guys. Elijah Jones went out today, and now you got Amari Jackson, a true freshman, played every single snap today. And we put him into the boundary to guard, in my opinion, one of the best wide receivers in college football, which is impressive. And then you have to take out your free safety and you move him to nickel, and you bump Josh DeBerry from his position to corner. Then you move a redshirt freshman Cole Batson into free safety. You got young guys out there, and I got to look hard at that, but I feel like we're wearing down and getting a little bit overwhelmed in the second half. And hopefully with the experience that will get better. And then obviously we'll look at the coaching in those parts of the game too. But we're starting the games better. We got to finish them better now. And then, along those lines, Joe Griffin, true freshman, played a lot of ball today, and Jeremiah Franklin, George Takis is out there battling, and you could see him. I don't know if you could see him on TV because you guys aren't here, but that guy's running off the field on a, it looks like he's hobbling at times. So, we're banged up, And we got guys that care. I walked into the locker room. When I walked in the locker room after I was done doing media, we had one player who had called up the whole team. And most of the time in those situations that I've been in, you get guys kind of sulking in their lockers, bitching and complaining, probably saying they're not playing enough, probably saying something about a coach, and coach is doing the same thing. But I walked in the locker room, and this is a real story. I mean, we got a guy talking as positive as can be, keeping the team together. And I almost didn't have to address the team. And that's impressive. And I know no one wants to hear that because we're losing. And trust me, I know it's important. But in the grand scheme of life, we got guys on this team who are impressive. And I love coaching them, and we'll get them better, and I'll do a better job. And we'll look at this, move on, and try to go get a win. So thank you guys for coming on. And then I'll see you guys tomorrow.